Okay, let's just state the obvious. Artificial intelligence is evolving way faster than anyone really predicted, right? And with that incredible speed, we're starting to see brand new kinds of risks pop up. We're not talking about the usual stuff. These are bigger, they're way more unpredictable, and they're happening on a global scale. So let's actually break down what these frontier risks are and, why they matter so much right now.
So it all boils down to one huge question, really. As these AI systems get more and more powerful, are we ready for what's coming next? And I want to be super clear. This isn't some sci-fi movie plot. This is about the very real, very tangible challenges that are happening right now at the absolute cutting edge of AI.
And that's where this idea of frontier AI risks comes into play. Look, these are not the same issues like bias or fairness that we've been talking about for years. Those are still important, but this is a whole different beast. We're talking about massive, high-impact threats from the most advanced AI systems out there. The kind of thing that's super hard to predict and honestly even harder to get back in the box once it's out.
All right, so to really get our heads around this, we've got to break it down. Let's kick things off with the most direct, core dangers that come with these powerful new AI systems.
First up, and this one is probably the most obvious, is just straight up misuse. I mean, the same exact technology that can do incredible, wonderful things can, of course, be weaponized. And we're talking about it being used as a weapon on a scale that is just completely unprecedented.
And look, this isn't just theory. We are talking about very real, concrete things, like the ability to generate mass misinformation that looks so real it could actually destabilize a country, or automating super sophisticated cyber attacks that could go after our power grids or financial systems, or, maybe even scarier, subtly manipulating what millions of people think and believe.
And this leads to a huge tug-of-war that the developers are dealing with. On one side, if you make these AI models open access, you get this explosion of innovation, which is amazing. But on the other side, well, you're also handing these incredibly powerful tools to anyone who wants them, which just skyrockets the risk of misuse. It is the classic textbook trade-off, progress versus safety.
But okay, it's not just about bad actors misusing the tech. There's another, maybe even deeper concern here, and that's the risk of the technology itself just slipping out of our control.
So, what does losing control even mean in practice? Well, it could mean an AI starts making huge decisions that we, the people who built it, literally can't explain or understand. Or maybe it just starts acting in bizarre, unexpected ways. Or, and this is a big one, it optimizes for a goal we gave it, but does it with this weird, ruthless, hyper-literal logic that ends up causing a total disaster we never saw coming.
Okay, so those are the direct dangers. But if we zoom out a bit, we can see that just weaving these frontier AI systems into our world creates these massive ripple effects that could change the very fabric of our society. Think about it. These AI systems are getting plugged into, well, everything. Our finances, our infrastructure, you name it. And because they're so interconnected, a failure in one spot doesn't just stay there. It can literally trigger a domino effect across the whole system. That's what we call a systemic or cascading failure.
What would that look like? Well, imagine one little glitch in an AI trading algorithm that triggers a flash crash in the stock market. Or think about a single failure in an AI-run logistics network that grinds our supply chains to a halt. See, these aren't just isolated problems. They are major shocks that could rattle the entire system.
And all of this brings up a really critical question. Who is actually building this stuff? I mean, it takes an insane amount of money and resources to create frontier AI. And what that means is that all this power is getting concentrated into the hands of a very, very small number of people.
Seriously, when you look at who's at the top of the game, it's just a handful of players. We're talking about organizations like OpenAI, DeepMind, and Anthropic. They're the ones leading the pack, which means you have this tiny, tiny group of people making decisions that are going to affect, well, pretty much everyone on the planet.
And that concentration of power, it forces us to ask some really tough geopolitical questions. Like, what happens when a handful of private companies control technology that might be more powerful than what most governments have? How does that completely scramble the global balance of power? Who's really in charge then?
And of course, you can't have a conversation about AI without talking about jobs and the economy, right? This is going to be a disruption, and we absolutely have to be ready for it. So the economic challenge is kind of like a 1-2-3 punch. First, you've got the potential for widespread job displacement as AI takes over more and more tasks. Second, there's this growing gap between the skills people currently have and the skills that are actually needed. And third, all of this could make economic inequality even worse. Navigating this transition, well, it's going to be a huge test for all of us.
Okay, so we've talked about misuse, loss of control, societal ripples, but all of these risks, they all kind of point back to one single core problem. It's both a technical and a philosophical challenge, and it might just be the hardest one we have to solve.
And that is the challenge of AI alignment. You hear this term a lot, and for good reason. It's basically the holy grail for AI safety researchers, and with every new breakthrough, it just gets more and more important. So what is the alignment problem? Well, at its heart, it's about one thing: making sure that as these AI systems get smarter and more independent, their goals stay locked onto what's actually good for humanity. We want them to be aligned with our values and intentions. Sounds simple enough, right? Except trying to define human values for a machine is one of the hardest problems you can imagine. And here's why getting this right is so critical. When you have an AI that's operating at a global scale, even a tiny error in alignment, just a small misunderstanding of what we wanted, can get blown up into huge real-world consequences. Think of it like a rocket to the moon. If you're off by just a fraction of a degree at launch, you miss by thousands of miles. Our margin for error here is getting razor thin.
Okay, so after all that, given how massive these challenges are, what on earth do we do about it? Well, the good news is, it's not all doom and gloom. Smart people are working on this, and a potential path forward is starting to take shape.
Yeah, there's no silver bullet here. The only way we tackle this is with a coordinated global effort. That means we need international regulations to create some guardrails. We need to pour money into safety research to try and stay ahead of the curve. It's going to take real cooperation between countries and the AI labs themselves. And the companies building this tech need to have super strong governance in place. The key thing to remember is nobody can solve this on their own.
If there's one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this. These risks we're talking about, they aren't some far-off science fiction idea. They are happening now. They are emerging in real time right alongside the incredible AI breakthroughs we're all seeing.
At the end of the day, the future we get with AI, it all comes down to us. It depends on our ability to see what's coming, to manage it, and to govern it responsibly. It's going to take a lot of wisdom and a lot of foresight. So the final question really is for everyone. Are we up to the challenge?